My name is Marty Sanders, and I have been with the same company for 10 years. I married my wife, Marcy, right after we finished college. It was a typical romance, and getting married felt like the natural thing to do. I wanted lots of kids, but Marcy wasn't interested in being a mother. I thought everything was fine with our relationship until a few weeks ago, when I started noticing the signs. At first, I thought I was imagining things and tried to stay cool about it. The little things that were bothering me did not go away, and I finally decided I had to verify her infidelity or put it aside. It just seemed like Wednesdays were significant, so that was my target date for checking things out. I went to work as usual that morning, but before leaving, I placed my GPS on the back floor of Marcy's Beamer. I turned the auto shutdown off and put in fresh batteries that would hold for at least 14 hours. Work went as usual, except I left a few hours early and swung by the house. Her car was there, so I parked down the street and went back and retrieved the GPS from the back seat. It worked perfectly. She had left the house and I had a nice track to exactly where she went. I set the unit on the center console and took off on my treasure hunt. About 20 minutes later, I found myself in the airport Holiday Inn parking lot. The counter guy at the hotel seemed friendly enough, and I mentioned that my wife had been there earlier at a business meeting and had left a pair of expensive sunglasses in the room. I asked if he could check the lost and found, but I didn't know the room number. Taking a long shot, I gave him her name and asked which room she had rented. I got a weird look and a small smile from him as he checked the computer. He said she had room 417 and checked out about 2 p.m. The room hadn't been cleaned yet, but I could check with the maid that was doing that floor. I thanked him with a 20 and went looking for the maid. The maid was as agreeable as the desk clerk, and another 20 got me in with no problem. There was nothing much exciting in the room except dirty sheets, wet towels, and 3 used condoms in the trash can. I took the condoms in one of the tumbler wrappers and went back down to the lobby. I was glad that the clerk was friendly and decided to try another long shot. I pushed a C note across the counter and asked if I could get a copy of the surveillance tape for that floor. He didn't make a copy. He just gave me the original and popped a new tape in the recorder. I thanked him. He smiled knowingly, and I was on my way home. At home, everything was normal. Of course, I said nothing, and she did not indicate that anything had happened. I was tempted to make some cutesy inquiries, but decided against it. I wasn't ready to tip my hat yet. In my mind, I was busy planning my next step. After Marcy turned in, I quietly played the surveillance tape, and now I knew who the guy was. I checked the credit card files in the den before turning in. The MasterCard bills for the last 3 months were missing. Marcy usually pays the household bills, and after making the MasterCard payments, she destroyed the bills, so I had no record of the room rentals. I went to work as normal the next day. The center of Marcy's affections was Kevin Chapman. He was a middle manager in the company and appeared to be an okay guy. I was able to pull up his personnel records and soon knew everything there was to know about him. I didn't know how or where they met and really didn't care. I only wanted to get it over with. Kevin was married and had 2 small children. His wife, Janet, was short and had dark hair. She was a little on the chunky side, but still had a nice shape. I had seen her at a few company functions and found her to be attractive even though she didn't fit the mold of a beauty queen. Cassie, my secretary, was a little suspicious of my investigations, and with an impish grin offered me whatever help I might need. It is hard to keep secrets from good secretaries. I asked her to see if she could get copies of my wife's MasterCard bills and a call log of my wife's cell phone for the last 3 months. I got the feeling everybody in the company knew what was going on, but me. Later that day, I found a business card on my desk for a female divorce lawyer. I don't know where it came from, but I put it in my pocket for future reference. At home that night, everything was normal. I mentioned the company picnic on Saturday, and she said she was looking forward to it. We went to bed at separate times as usual, and there was no intimacy as usual. Friday was a slow day at work. The high point of the day was that Cassie had the MasterCard records and Marcy's cell phone log. She also had a copy of Kevin's cell phone log. I had never mentioned his name to her. I felt like a humiliated husband. Before the end of the day, Cassie sat down and said that I should make an effort to talk to Janet Chapman at the picnic if possible, and also to try and talk with Jake Williamson, the company's CEO. She winked as if to say everything was going to be okay. That night I sat and watched TV alone while Marcy read a book. The wheels were turning. It was time to do something. Which brings us back to the picnic. The beer was flowing and everybody was having a great time. But me. Bob Sever, a close working friend, started ribbing me about being a party pooper. I tried to joke it off with little success. "I hope you are in a better mood at next year's picnic, Marty," Bob squawked. "I don't think I'll be at next year's picnic, Bob." That got everyone's attention. "What is going on, Marty? Are you leaving the company?" he asked. "No, I think I will be in jail next year at this time," I answered. There was a mixture of gasps and giggles at that. Everyone at the table was asking for an explanation at the same time. They couldn't tell if I was joking or serious, but they were all waiting for an answer. "Well, Bob, somebody in the company has been having intimacy with my wife, and very shortly I intend to kill him, his wife, and his kids. I will not put up with this stuff." There was silence around the table. Kevin was sitting at the far end. I avoided looking directly at him, but I could see he was disturbed. Suddenly, Bill Thomas chimed in. "Well, in that case, Marty, can I have your boat?" That got a laugh from most people and took the chill off the conversation. "Bill, the boat is worth over 10 grand, and you can have it for 4,000, I answered. After a short pause, Bill said, "If you are serious, Marty, it's a deal." "Fine. I'll get it cleaned up for you and you can pick it up tomorrow at about noon. Stan, if you still want those ping golf clubs, you can have them for $100, okay?" Stan Franks nodded and said he would pick them up Sunday also. About this time, Kevin got up from the table and went to the side of the yard by a bush. I saw him get out his cell phone and hit a speed dial. At the same time, across the yard, Marcy was digging in her purse for her phone. They talked for a few moments, and then Marcy saw me looking her way and quickly hung up. By the time Kevin came back to the table, I had also sold my truck to a guy in the shipping department. It was turning out to be a good picnic. I was getting ready to call it a day so I wouldn't put a damper on everyone's fun when I remembered what Cassie said. I walked over toward Jake, who was busy with some visiting biggies. I decided I didn't want to interrupt and turned to walk away. Jake grabbed my arm, leaned over, and said, "Don't worry, I got your back." I wasn't sure what he meant, but it sounded good. As I walked over to tell Marcy I was leaving, Janet, with the 2 tykes, sort of bumped into me. Before I could say anything, she quietly blurted out, "We need to talk. I will call you. Don't call me." I told Marcy I was leaving. She could stay and get a ride with someone else or go with me. She left with me. There was no conversation all the way home or after we got there. I felt very satisfied. I was up bright and early the next day, feeling a little confident now. I got the set of golf clubs out and cleaned them up a little for Stan. He got a good buy, and he knew it. I washed the truck, threw on a quick wax job, and vacuumed it out. I didn't have to do this, but it helped to keep my mind off my problems. The boat was a major project, so I saved it for last. I figured I could kill the entire morning getting everything shipshape for Bill. While I was outside, keeping busy, I could see Marcia burning up the phone lines. I'm sure Kevin and her had a lot to discuss. I wished I had come up with a way to record the phone conversations, but then I figured it didn't matter anyhow. Stan picked up the clubs, and I went inside and made a sandwich and got a beer. I spent over an hour with Bill explaining the boat wiring and fuel system and loading him up with all the accessories. I made him take all my fishing stuff also. Hell, I wasn't going to have a boat I didn't need the fishing gear. It was a busy day. After a quick shower, I dressed and asked Marcy if she wanted to go get a bite to eat. She turned me down and offered no excuse. I felt it was interesting that she never once asked about the boat, the truck, or the golf clubs. I got the feeling she was trying to avoid the subject altogether. Fine with me. I had a great meal, went to a local watering hole, and relaxed the rest of the night. Marcy was asleep when I got home and was still in bed when I left for work in the morning. I stopped at the International House of Pancakes on the way to work. It was something I normally didn't do, but I felt frisky. I took my time, read the newspaper, and sauntered into work at about 10 a.m. Everybody appeared to be overly friendly and smiling more than normal. Cassie sort of snickered and got me some coffee I did not need. "What the hell is going on?" I asked. "Well, today you are considered to be a celebrity of sorts. Your performance at the picnic has spread all over the company." "And that is a good thing?" I asked. Cassie smiled. "Kevin was in very early this morning and asked for an immediate transfer. He didn't offer any explanation, but Mr. Williamson had already notified personnel that if he did come in, they were to transfer him to the Baltimore office immediately. Kevin cleaned out his desk and was gone within the hour." "Damn. I didn't think I was that convincing, but it is sort of funny," I answered. "Everybody said he looked like a scared rabbit," said Cassie. "Did he take his wife and kids with him?" I asked. "No, he sent them to her folks' place in Maine. I understand she was a little angry about the whole thing. She said she was going to call me and sounded like it was important. I don't know what to do now. I guess I'll just wait," I answered. Things at home were quiet and cold. We conversed only when necessary. Marcy never brought up anything that was going on, nor did I. It was like we were bending over backward to avoid the subject. I never went to bed that night, just slept on the couch. The next day, I started closing out the credit cards and bank accounts. I was doing everything possible to separate my financial accounts and hers. I left her one credit card that she had opened in her name alone. I got $1,000 in cash and put it in an envelope to give to her when the time came. The checking account and ATM were closed down. The Beamer was in her name, but the insurance was in mine. I canceled the insurance. She had her cell phone, so there was nothing to do there. Just before lunch, Janet called. I met Janet and the kids at a nearby McDonald's. It was her choice and a good one with the kids. She was royally angry because Kevin had insisted she go to Maine to stay with her parents and gave her no explanation. She called Kevin's secretary Monday morning and found out about his transfer. Somehow it came out that I had threatened to kill Kevin, her, and the kids, and Kevin made her go to Maine to protect her. Janet thought it was nonsense and packed up and came right back home. She asked me if I was going to kill her, and we both snickered. Then the conversation got serious. "We both know what is going on," she said. "I want to know what hard evidence you have to share, and I will tell you what I have. Okay?" I gave her a sincere smile. I have 3 months of telephone logs for Marcy's cell phone and Kevin's. I also have the credit card records for the rooms they rented at the airport Holiday Inn. I have a video of them entering and leaving the room with the time and date. And I have 3 used condoms. Your turn." She seemed happy. "I can offer voice recordings of several very vivid phone conversations, and I have about 40 good photos of the 2 of them doing what they do best. Don't ask how I got them. I also have an excellent lawyer who is willing to take both cases together if you are agreeable. I left her card on your desk, but you didn't call her yet." I took the card out of my pocket and set it on the table. She smiled again. I actually enjoyed having the kids around, and being with Janet was fun, even under these circumstances. We stayed a while till the kids got tired of playing and then went our separate ways. I agreed to meet with the lawyer as long as she was there also. That afternoon, she brought an envelope with copies of her stuff to the office, and I gave her copies of everything I had. We had an appointment set up with the lawyer the next morning. The evening at home was uneventful, as usual. The lawyer was good. She had checklists and worksheets for everything. It did not look like we were going to have any problems with the divorce or settlements at all. I asked Janet if she would like to go out for supper that night, and she agreed if she could get a sitter for the kids. I didn't mind them coming along, but it was her choice. Marcy said nothing as I dressed for my date. I offered no explanation and just walked out the door. The evening was great. We talked about everything but the divorce. She was fun to be with. I had her home early, and couldn't resist giving her a peck on the cheek at the door. Marcy was in bed when I got home. I spent the next day getting caught up with all the work I had let slide at the office. Cassie did a great job covering for me, but it still had to be done. That evening was my time to bring everything to a close. After supper, I cleared off the kitchen table. I spread some newspaper out and started to clean my old Army 45. Marcy watched for a while and then walked over to the table. "What the hell are you doing?" she barked. Without looking up, I replied, "I have some unfinished business to take care of in Baltimore." "What do you mean, unfinished business?" "It's personal," I answered. She paced back and forth for a few seconds. "I don't want you to go. You are going to do something stupid, and I believe you should think about it." "I am sorry. I have to do it. Are you afraid I might end up in jail or something?" I questioned. She leaned over the table. Her lower lip was quivering in anger. "I don't care what happens to you, just don't hurt him. You hear me? Don't hurt him." I just sat and looked at her. I was sure now that what I was doing was the right thing. She sat down and aggressively leaned toward me. "I don't know what it is you think is going on that is causing you to act so nasty, but I suggest you cut it out. People are saying that you think I am cheating on you. You have no reason to believe that anything is going on, so quit acting like a jerk." I pushed the gun over to the side, moved my briefcase in front of me, and opened it. "Here are your cell phone logs for the past 3 months. Would you like to guess how many calls you made to him during that time? This is a copy of his cell phone calls. Guess how many calls a day he made to you?" She sat back a little. "Cell phone calls don't mean anything." I pushed the cassette tape in front of her. "Here is a recording of several intimate phone conversations that the two of you had. Would you like to listen to them, or do you already know what is on them?" There was no reaction. I put down the credit card records. "You even paid for the hotel rooms. Wow, that was nice of him. 14 hotel rooms in 3 months, I'm impressed. Did his wife know about this?" She seemed to lose a little of her swagger, but she appeared to be getting madder at me. I pushed the VCR tape across the table. "Here we have a nice video of you and him going into the motel room and coming out 3 hours later, all with time and dates. To top it all off, I have 40 nice photos of the two of you with your clothes off trying out every position in the book." I spread the photos across the table so she could be sure I wasn't lying. She glanced at the pictures. After a pause, she said, "Okay, stop it. You are confusing me. I can't think straight when you are attacking me like this." There was no remorse. There was no sorry. There was no fear. The only emotion still showing was anger. I put everything into the briefcase, including the gun. She sat silent, not moving. I grabbed my coat and started toward the door. "I am going to a motel for the night. When I get back, I expect you and all your things to be gone. If there is anything left of yours, I will ship it to you. Your Discover card is still good, but the rest of the credit cards have been canceled. Here is $1,000 in cash. I suggest you use part of it to get auto insurance on your car. If you are gone when I come back, I will not have to make my trip to Baltimore. I do not want to see you in or near this house again. Do you understand?" I laid the envelope with the cash on the table. "Where the hell am I supposed to go?" she shouted. "Baltimore is nice this time of year." I snickered on the way out. Janet and I had lunch the next day. I insisted she bring the kids this time. I enjoyed having them around even though they weren't mine. I told her about the events that occurred the night before. She was trying not to be judgmental, but considering the situation and her involvement, it was difficult. After lunch, I drove by the house to make sure Marcy was gone. She did a good job moving out and left everything neat and clean. It was hard to tell she ever lived there at all. Later, I called the landlord from work and told him I would be moving out at the end of the month. It was okay. I didn't need a big house by myself. I started looking for apartments in the paper. When I arrived at work the next day, Cassie told me Marcy had moved in with Kevin. I didn't ask how she knew this, but I was curious. The lawyer called later to let me know the papers for both divorces were ready and would be delivered together on Saturday morning by messenger. The divorce would be final in 90 days, and she was expecting no problems. Cassie told me that I was being ordered to take a 10-day vacation as she put a travel agency folder down in front of me. It held 4 airline tickets to Orlando, a week's stay at a park hotel, and tickets to the park for the entire week. It was all compliments of Jake Williamson. 3 months later, the divorce was final. I moved in with Janet, and life was great. A week later, Kevin was let go. He had alimony payments, child support payments, car payments, and no job. Marcy had gone to work in the meanwhile. Somebody took her Beamer for a joyride and trashed it. She didn't have any insurance. Shortly thereafter, Kevin left to get a job in Dallas and forgot to tell Marcy where he was. Good luck to both of them. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.